are requested to please open their cameras. Anurag Washne, sir. Arvindji, please, if you can also hear me. Only the live camera speakers feed will go live. Should we start? Dr. Venkateshwaralu, you may close your camera, please. So only the speakers may open their cameras. Thank you, Arvindji. Thank you. We are live now. So very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Health and Wellness Week at the India Pavilion at Dubai Expo. The session today, the Health and Wellness Week, is being supported by Ministry of AYUSH, Government of India, also by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Pharmaceuticals. We are all joined here physically, in this India Pavilion multipurpose hall, as well as this session is being virtually witnessed. About 23 countries have registered for the session. The thematic session today is on bringing innovation and capturing scientific validation in AYUSH. Today's session deliberations will follow a set of structures, starting with setting up of the context by the line ministry, and then the discussions and deliberations by the panelists would take place. We have some senior state representatives, as well as Indian and global experts to share their views. As a process, as a part of the session, we will be posing certain questions to our speakers, and they would give their thoughts on those sessions and of course on those topics, and of course talk about their thought process in terms of Ayurveda, AYUSH. Before we begin, I would like to mention that audience will also have the opportunity to ask the questions or submit the text questions virtually to today's presenters by typing their questions in the question pane chat box, and they would be answered during the course of the session. India's AYUSH industry, including Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, Sogarippa, and Homeopathy, has been witnessing a steady growth over the last couple of years. With its virtue of qualitative strength, therapeutic efficacy, efficiency, essential elements of health, holistic care provided by AYUSH, the Indian traditional medicine system and wellness regimes with important clues for consistent functioning of life are some of the key factors about driving the growth of the sector. Today's session will have a esteemed panel talk about India's offering to the world in the Indian medicine and wellness aspects, innovation, entrepreneurship, and how Indian industry is continuously pegged at achieving the scientific validation on the evidence-based research, which helps in its integration with the modern medicine and also achieve global mainstreaming for the AYUSH sector. It is indeed a privilege, and I would like to thank Ministry of AYUSH and all associated government bodies and the organizations for encouraging us to be a part of this Health and Wellness Week at Dubai Expo at India Pavilion. Let me introduce our panelists for the session. Shri Anurag Sharma ji, Honorable Member of Parliament, Government of India, also the Chair for FICCI AYUSH Committee and the Joint Managing Director for Baidyanath. We have with us Mr. Pradeep Multani, who is the President of PhD Chambers and also the Chairman Multani Pharmaceuticals and a part of the FICCI AYUSH leadership. We have with us Mr. Arvind Varchasvi, who is the MD for Sri Sri Tattva and is also part of the leadership as co-chair for the FICCI AYUSH Committee. We have with us Mr. Anurag Washne, Vice President and Head of Patanjali Research Institute. We have with us Vaidya Sumit Goyal, who's here with us physically in this room. He is the Officer on Special Duty to Secretary, Ministry of AYUSH, Government of India. Also, we are joined by Dr. Ashwini Jaiswal, Research Officer, Ayurveda at the Ministry of AYUSH, Government of India. We are virtually joined by Dr. Adarsh Kumar, Assistant Director, Ayurveda at the Central Council for Research in Ayurveda and Siddha. And we have with us Dr. Pratibha Shah, who is the MD and also the founder president for Council for Ayurveda Research. She's joining us from US. May I, to begin the session, we will have the setting up of the context. And also amongst us is Professor Dr. Y.K. Gupta, who is physically present with us in this room and is the president for AIMS, All India Institute for Medical Sciences, Bhopal, as well as Jammu. With this, may I now invite Dr. Ashwini Jaiswal to present a quick presentation and set the context.
Namaskar, President. I'm sorry, मैं आपको Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. Ashwini Kumar Jaiswal, Research Officer Ayurveda in International Cooperation Section, Ministry of Ios. Next slide. First of all, we review on the recognized traditional system of medicine in India. Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Swarikpa, homeopathy, yoga and naturopathy are recognized system of medicine, which is recognized under National Commission of Indian System of Medicine Act 2020. Even though the homeopathy is not considered a traditional system, it is also recognized under National Commission of Homeopathy Act 2020. Under National Health Policy 2017, support for integration of traditional medicine in public health and also for education research is mentioned. Next slide. Then we come to the Then we come to the globalization of Ios. Ministry of Ios has signed 25 country-to-country MOU for cooperation in the field of traditional system of medicine. 32 institute-to-institute MOUs has been signed with foreign institute for research and academic collaboration in areas of mutual interest. Along this, ministry has also established 14 academic chair in foreign universities. I like to inform you that 37 Ayush information cell has been established in 34 countries for promotion and propagation of Ayush system of medicine. Then we come to the Ayush collaboration with WHO. Ministry of Ayush has signed project collaboration agreement with WHO. It is an umbrella MOU for cooperation on promoting the quality, safety, and effectiveness of service provision in traditional and complementary medicine. The ministry has developed a comprehensive document on Ayurvedic terminology with National Ayurveda Morbidity Code through a consultative process of experts. The ministry with WHO is also working for development of second module of Traditional Medicine chapter of ICD-11. Ayush PHR5 research study entitled Assessment of Integration of Ayush into the Public Health System for Combating COVID-19 is being conducted in India with the support of WHO. Establishment of WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in India is under process. Next slide, please. Other initiative taken by Ministry of Ayush are India-EU Technical Working Group on Ayurveda has been set up. A Panchkarma Center has been established at Cuba with the support of Ministry of Ayush. International Ayurveda Institute in different countries like Mauritius, Hungary has been established. More than 15 Ayurveda Ayush products have been registered in 8 countries like Kenya, USA, etc. Ayush Export Promotion Council has been established to promote export of Ayush products as well as Ayush services. Next slide, please. Under international collaboration, Ministry of Ayush has collaborated with Charity University Medical Center Germany for the management of osteoarthritis through Ayurveda. The promising result was obtained with this, which is published in reputed journal. Next slide, please. In another such study, we have collaborated with Institute of Applied Dermatology, Kasaragod, Kerala, for morbidity control of lymphatic filariasis in National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program through Ayurveda and yoga, self-care therapy. The study was done on 1,008 patients. The result was very encouraging. Next slide, please. Another study for management of osteoarthritis through integration of Ayurveda with modern system medicine in a tertiary health care center, Thaftarganj, has been done, which is also published in reputed journal. Next slide, please. Ministry of Ice, in consultation with DGHS, had taken the initiative for integration of Ice system with National Program for Prevention and Control of Cancer, Diabetes, Cardiovascular Disease, and Stroke, NPCDCS, to fortify the impact of the existing NPCDCS program. The program was implemented through 3 research councils, that is CCRS at 3 districts, CCRH in 2 districts, and CCRUM at 1 district. This is well accepted by public and patients. Well accepted by allopathic community. It is well tolerated integrative approaches. Next slide, please. Ministry of Ice has celebrated International Day of Yoga since last 7 years at national and international level for promotion of yoga. WHO, in collaboration with Ministry of Ice, launched WHO Yoga app to demonstrate common yoga protocol for wellness and for global use for correct practices of yoga under We Healthy, We Mobile initiatives. Ministry is in process of affiliation of Saudi yoga standards with YCB, Yoga Certification Board. Yoga Certification Board is for yoga professional and accreditation to the yoga institution centers. As of now, 66 national and international institute accredited and thousands of yoga professionals have been certified. Recently, Ministry has launched Yoga Breakup, in which yoga protocol consists of a very few useful yoga practices to de-stress, refresh, and refocus on workplaces. Next slide, please. Ministry of Ice has taken many initiatives during COVID-19. Guidelines and public health advisories has been issued, mobilization of human resource, research and development has been done, and many research and development is under process. National Clinical Management Protocol already published. National Wide Campaign for AYUSH 64 and Kavashur Kudnir has been distributed. Next slide, please. These are public health advisories which has been issued. These advisories are available in public health domain. You can check this advisory in Ministry of Ice website. Next slide, please. These are guidelines related to COVID-19. These guidelines are also available in public domain. Yeah, next slide. These are snapshots of Ayush research on COVID-19. As of now, total studies undertaken are 139 and participating center are 159. Yeah, next slide. Many research study has been done by Ministry of Ice for COVID-19, in which one is I-64, which is repurposed for COVID-19. It is recommended in National Clinical Management Protocol-based Ayurveda and Yoga. Quality standard is developed by CCRS, an autonomous body under Ministry of Ios. Total 10 studies in collaboration with CSIR, DVT, ICMR, and reputed hospital has been done. Evidences on symptom management, influenza-like illness, antiviral, immunomodulatory activity. Next slide. Another study on I-64 add adjuvant treatment to standard of care in mild to moderate COVID-19 has been done in King George Medical University, Lucknow, and VMC COVID Center, Mumbai. The result is very promising. And the participants treated with I-64 recovered early compared to standard care. More patients from I-64 group recovered within 1 week of randomization than those on standard care. Mean time to negative RT-PCR for COVID-19 was lesser in I-64 group. Next slide, please. These are some drugs like Ashwagandha, Vithnia somnifera, and Gurtichi, on which a study has been taken for prophylactic care. These medicines were well tolerated and no severe adverse effect and or adverse drug reaction reported. Yeah, next slide, please. These are also some drug in which COVID-19, which is done for COVID-19 research study. Tenosphoria cordiafolia, Tenosphoria cardifolia, and piperlongan combination, and I-64. Yeah, next slide. Ministry of Ayush set up an interdisciplinary committee for integration of Ayurveda and yoga interventions in the National Clinical Management Protocol COVID-19. Based on NITI Aayog and ICMR recommendation on the committee report, the Ministry of Ayush issued the National Clinical Management Protocol based on Ayurveda and yoga for management of COVID-19, enabling uniform clinical management. This protocol is for the prophylaxis, management of asymptomatic and mild COVID-19 cases and post-COVID care. Yeah, next slide, please. As on today, Ayush Research Portal has evidence-based research data consisting of 33,513 reports and studies ranging across clinical research, preclinical research, drug research, and fundamental research, which you also seen in Ministry of Ayush website. Yeah, next slide. Thank you for listening. Namaste, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Jaiswal. I think indeed very interesting and a lot of information is there. My question to my fellow speaker here is that I hope this is all available on website, because this is very informative, but how do we take this forward?
Thank you, sir. Honorable Member of Parliament and esteemed panelists. See, we have done 139 studies, research and studies during the COVID time, and all these are available in public domain, as around 30 studies are published in reputed journals. Beside that, around 30 are as preprint. And we have created a dossier in which we have mentioned all the details, what we have done since initiation of the COVID-19. We have released the guidelines, and also we have done very protocols we have released for the scientific community, and what studies and public health initiatives we have taken. So I've created a dossier. The link is available on Ministry of Ayush website, as well as on Central Council of Research in Ayurvedic Sciences. In their official website also, one can find that dossier. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vedya Sumit. So Ayurveda and yoga have been one of our biggest offering to the world. I think it's time for now to interact with our experts here and get their views and how would they perceive Ayush as, a system of medicine and offering from India to the world. So we have with us, as I shared with you, Mr. Anurag Sharma, who's also the Member of Parliament, Government of India. Sir, my question to you is that we've all seen Ayush systems, that is the traditional medicine, has played an important role in supporting the government's effort to tackle COVID. India's Ayush industry also worked committedly during the COVID pandemic in bringing these products for public immunity and boosting, medicines and products which have significantly benefited the people. So would you like to talk about, sir, the industry efforts, and also how do you see this as a validation of our Ayurveda and in helping people build immunity during the COVID times? And also, probably you will like to answer this, and then I'll have one more question to you, sir. So.
Thank you so much, Praveen. Namaskar, namaste to everyone who's watching this live streaming. Thank you so much for joining us at the India Pavilion. Praveen, as you were well aware that when this COVID-19 really broke out across the world, there were really no answers in chemical-based medicines and therapeutics across the world. There was a huge amount of fear factor, so to speak, across the world. In the first wave, India went into a lockdown. We were able to prevent a lot of infection from happening. And in hindsight, we were so much better off looking at the lockdowns during the first wave. During the second wave, it was far more severe because of the Delta virus. And this Delta wave was quite moderate in India compared, in hindsight again, to the rest of the world, where we did have a number of cases, huge amount of cases, but that in relation to our population was quite reasonable. But if you look at it, what really saved our people? It was the Ayush industry, especially Ayurveda, which really stepped up. And I would like to compliment here the ministry for actually disseminating enough knowledge and information out there for people to be aware that boosting their immunity is probably the best thing they could possibly do. So like you just saw it in the last presentation, a lot of products like ashwagandha, giloy, tulsi, even traditional formulations like chawanprash did extremely well. In fact, as far as the industry is concerned, even during the lockdown, the industry actually rose up and ensured its supply chain, ensured that the products were out there in the markets, that people were able to effectively access these products. In fact, the sale of some of these products went up by a factor of 5 to 8 times. There was a major shortage of these products during that time. But if you notice, incidentally, in India at that point of time, the number of cases, we peaked with our so-called second wave quite early, and we were able to bring down the number of cases quite effectively. That's two reasons. One, primarily that a lot of Indians did and are still continuing to use Ayurveda as one of their sources of therapy and medicine. In fact, incidentally, even across the world, the Ayurveda sales, I think, went up by about 45 to 50%. And some of the products like ashwagandha went up by a factor of 4 times. So recognizing this, if you, so to speak, even WHO is setting up a global center for traditional medicines in India. And the WHO center coming up in India is a big thing, because then we are not only going to be calling ourselves as pharmacy to the world, but we'll also be becoming the global center for wellness for the world. And that would be the new strategy taking the Indian Ayush system forward. And I think the Global Center will really be able to help us disseminate our own scientific validations and information effectively. And the world will probably recognize that much more easier, because a lot of our processes and scientific knowledge, which has been diluted due to time, will get revalidated all over again. And the other thing I like to really highlight a bit here is also the fact that we need to also establish some other standards as far as manufacturing standards are concerned. We notice that most of us actually keep trying to get WHO GMP standards as recognized standards for manufacturing. But WHO standards for manufacturing are again based basically and primarily on chemical-based medicines. We really need to promote the Ayush premium mark. So the world recognizes the Ayush premium mark and recognizes the efficacy, the validation, as well as the standard for manufacturing. So we follow the best practices across the world.
Thank you, sir. It was quite insightful. As you're aware, this is probably one of the biggest platforms in the entire world, I would say, where 190 plus countries are congregating. And everybody has some unique offerings. And as I said, Ayurveda and yoga are India's one of the biggest offering to the world. Sir, further, in terms of publicity, promotion, I mean, what is your take? What do you suggest, Mr. Sharma?
Praveenji, one is, of course, what I think FICCI has effectively done by setting up the Export Promotion Council. That will go in a long way in helping establish India as this center for traditional herbal-based products. India's rich knowledge and its past culture and its current culture also, so to speak, is a huge strength. And when we actually disseminate this information in an effective manner, which the world expects us to, especially as far as clinical trials are concerned, I think we as Indians need to really be able to talk in the same language. If we do that, there'll be a huge amount of growth for India. We are able to talk in the scientific and revalidation of our own Ayurveda and Ayurvedic principles. That will go a long way. And I'm happy to say here, look, the amount of clinical trials which were again conducted, there were over 139 studies, as the previous speaker mentioned. There were over 30 products at 88 locations. My own company, Vednath, had done trials with the medical college, with the university, and even a new product like Immune Kavach, which we launched across India. Even these products disastrously reduced hospital stays. Nobody was sent to the ICU. There weren't any people on ventilators. In fact, most patients were out between 5 to 7 days from hospitalization. They didn't really require that kind of hospitalization. We've again started a new trial with the KGMU at Lucknow. So these things are really helping, but that information needs to be disseminated and spread across the world. That's what my real take is. And I think the Ayurveda industry is doing a wonderful job here by taking it across.
Thank you. Thank you. I think very informative. Moving on further to Mr. Multani, who also is the president for PhD Chamber of Commerce and has been instrumental in driving the entire Ayush segment, Ayurveda in particular. Sir, today the entire world is looking for innovation. Innovation in healthcare, innovation in products. How, from the industry point of view, in this current, global, if I look about a global market, how would you talk about innovation in the Ayush sector? Any thoughts on this? Any take on this?
Thank you, Praveenji, and good evening to all the participants and the panelists. You see, the Indian traditional medicines like Ayurveda, Unani, and other holistic healthcare systems represent an important source for public health in India and has big potential to help India become an economic superpower. Innovation will build the Ayush medicines from the current tag of traditional medicine or home remedies to a formal scientific healthcare system. A fourfold systematic approach can be taken to improve the innovation ecosystem. Firstly, having a scientific approach for research, evidence-based and clinically approved research should be encouraged and certified by the Ministry of Ayush. Clinical trials undertaken should be Ayush Clinical Trials Registry, India. They should be registered. While industry has evolved significantly over the past few years in bringing globally recognized research and standards for Ayurveda products and services, a greater impetus must be given to increase the horizon of the research, considering its relevance in recognizing a pharmacopoeia globally. Harmonization on global standards and creating innovation hubs for niche areas in Ayush, especially cosmetology, nutrition, yoga, and holistic wellness practices, would give a significant thrust to the development of the sector. For building entrepreneurship, integrating Ayush systems into global healthcare system is the need of the hour. New businesses and novel ideas play a significant role in mainstream Ayush into modern medicine. Startups bring an element of innovation with them, increasing the systematic business working for Ayush industry at par with any global business model. Indian government has been supporting the industry through various initiatives like Startup India program. Further initiatives on foreign investments in Ayush are also encouraged and are experiencing a significant boom. Digital technology is now the backbone for innovation. For Ayurveda sector as well, upgradation and linkages through digital means will bring greater access and improve healthcare delivery. In this context, it is noteworthy to mention that the Ayush Grid project, which was initiated by the ministry in 2018 for creating a comprehensive IT backbone for the entire sector, Digitalization of the entire AYUSH sector will lead to its transformation in fields of healthcare delivery at all levels, including research, education, various health programs, and drug regulations. This will be beneficial for all stakeholders of AYUSH and in turn will also help to achieve various national and global goals in healthcare. Telemedicine is also an opportunity to explore and diverse into for the AYUSH sector, and this will be achieved through a robust technology linkage. For building global cooperation, there's a need for developing a targeted action plan for the sector. We are committed towards building collaboration with our key country partners on education, research, harmonization of AYUSH standards, promotion, including accommodating interested scientists, practitioners, paramedics, and students in institutions for research, educational and training programs on traditional medicine. In addition, bringing a continuous and uninterrupted flow of exchange of ideas between Indian companies, private sector with foreign government, private companies, and institutions on greater development. If I may just mention that when India faced the COVID-19 pandemic, and if we have to provide healthcare for a 135 crore population, if we are trying to reach the standards which are there in America or European Union or England, that requires so much of investment that if we have to set up that form of hospitals and infrastructure. Our AYUSH system, our Ayurveda, which is a 5,000-year-old scientific system of medicine, it is trusted by more than 70-75% of the Indian population. And we saw during this COVID-19 that how the Western countries had more deaths, more number of cases, and if we compare it to the population, India fared one of the finest. Our government did really phenomenal, and it was thanks to AYUSH. So since we have so many of our international friends who are joining us, one would definitely like them also to look into our Ayurveda, that how it can be incorporated in their healthcare systems so that they can provide excellent healthcare for their population in a very economical manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sultani. Because as you are aware, this is, we have a lot of showcasing at the India Pavilion, wherein we are talking about health and wellness. There have been a lot of inquiries about Ayurveda. So somehow, interacting with so many people, there is a general feeling that the way, we have been, what place Ayurveda deserves at the global level, we are still short of achieving, that. So any thoughts on this, that how do you feel we should get together as industry, government? How do you see the way forward for the Ayurveda sector?
See, I strongly feel that, our Ayurveda system has really a wonderful, bright future. Because in today's day and date, people are sick and tired, of the side effects of the other systems of medicine. Our system is safe, proven over time. If it survived 5,000 years when we had, the Mughal rule as well as we had British rule, yet our system survived, and naturally it will survive only if it was very efficacious. Like I said, more than 70-75% of our population, even in today's day and date, in India, is using Ayurvedic products. And basically, if why fall sick at all, our Ayurveda is something, Ayurveda yoga are something which will make sure that people don't fall sick. Why let that be a fire? There will be aagi nahi lagne denge. We'll keep the healthy, we'll make sure that people remain fit and healthy. And of course, our government is doing immensely wonderful things to take our AYUSH system abroad. Already, yoga is we already have International Day of Yoga on 21st of June. Now, as the Honorable Prime Minister said, he has opened the doors. Now it is up to us, Ayurveda, companies and our practitioners to enter those doors and take our Ayurveda to every household all over the world.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very encouraging and positive, sir. Moving further, I have with me Mr. Anurag Vashne from Patanjali Ayurveda, which is now, of course, a globally recognized Indian brand. And you've been a success story, specifically with the experiences in global markets and establishing Ayurveda globally. So what was your starting point and where do you see and what do you see still needs to be done?
Om, I hope I'm audible to you. So thank you very much, Pravinji, and all the people who are present there. My regards to Shri Anurag Sharma ji, our honorable. Hello, I am not able to. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So I am a scientist. I lead the Patanjali Research Institute. And what I've been asked to do by Param Puchacharya and Swamiji to give a brief feedback on the journey that we had for the scientific research during this COVID time and how this medicine, Coronil, was made, launched, and validated scientifically. So I do have a presentation. If you allow me, I can quickly go through and I will request for 15 to 20 minutes of your time to go through that scientific data. So sir, do I have that permission from you?
Yes, sir, you may go ahead with the presentation, but we'll request you to be a little quick because there are a lot of other speakers too. So
sure. So I will just quickly show my presentation and I'll open up the slides. Can you see that on your screen?
Not as yet, sir.
I think it is getting loaded up. There's some network problem here in Haridwar, and I'm trying to cope up with it. So while this is getting loaded, we can have that query that you have, sir. I will try to answer it quickly.
Sure. My point here to you was that you've been quite a success story in terms of establishing Ayurveda. So what was the starting point and where do you see today? And what do you see still needs to be done? Because you have so many experiences from the global markets where you are interacting, promoting your products.
Right,
so definitely people back home as well as, you'd like to know from you.
Right, sir. So I think for last 18 months or 24 months have been rather challenging. We have been trying to generate lots and lots of proof of concepts, scientific validations, and as aptly said by Anurag sir, that to generate a data in a language which is understandable by all of us outside India as well. So Patanjali Research Institute has been very eagerly working on the same aspect and trying to generate that how we can generate those body of evidences which are easy to understand and are comprehensible to the fellow scientists as well. So the journey has been rewarding. Of course, it has its own ups and downs, but the interaction that we have right now outside world is actually very receiving. We have been now working with 6 different international collaborations, trying to test the drugs outside India as well in terms of preclinical testing as well as clinical testing. And few of the trials are under process, and hopefully we will have some good data coming out very soon. So what I see personally as an head of the research institute, that the outlook looks fantastic. The acceptability for this method of treatment is actually getting more and more. And it's, I think, largely because of this COVID pandemic, because these natural medicines have been very helpful in curtailing it. And most of the other speakers have also said the same thing, that we are actually working at the grassroots level to take care of human health, and Patanjali has been a part of it.
I think we can see your presentation. Would you like to move your slides and take us through the presentation quickly, please?
Sure, we'll go very quickly. I'm sure that most of you know that Patanjali Research Institute is under the edges of Patanjali Yogpeeth, which has been blessed by Param Shraddha Swamiji and Param Puja Acharya. And I'll quickly have two very quick slides to show that what we aim to do and how this center have been set up. So we aim to improve the health and quality of life through research and innovation. That's our mission and vision for the institute. This center was inaugurated in 2017. Hello, I see blank.
We can't see the presentation, sir.
Can't see the presentation. I think there's something funky. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry about this network speed here. Something is getting stuck there, sir. Can you see it now, sir?
No, sir, it's not visible. You may like to brief us without the presentation if that's in.
I think that would be then easier and faster. Is that when this pandemic started to roll in China in 2000, late 18 and early 19, we started to work into the possibilities of looking at Ayurvedic ways of controlling the disease. So our teams of scientists start to actually look into various drugs that those may be possible. And we tested close to 100 to 150 different plants and their 1,000 different extracts by doing a molecular modeling and could figure it out. The ashwagandha, giloy, and tulsi, those could have some effect on COVID virus and its interaction with human cells. And later, all three of those were actually then combined, and we got coronel, which was then later validated by a series of experiments going from in vitro biology from a cellular level, where we could show that it does stop the entry of a COVID virus in human cell. And then we went up to the animal model, where we generated a humanized zebrafish model to show that these drugs do work at a defined efficacy as we expect them to see. And from there, we went up to the clinical trial where we conducted with NIMS University in Jaipur at the time of first wave, and could show that the component of coronel, giloy, tulsi, and ashwagandha, along with swasari ras, could actually protect the patients from getting into a severe state of disease, and they could actually recover very well as well. So all of these things that I'm talking to have been published extensively. That have been one of the goals that we have at PRI, to actually publish our work in scientific journals with the high impact factors. And we're trying to show that the science that Ayurveda has is non-inferior to the modern science that is being done by the allopathic people. So those have been the way, and I'm very proud to show that so far there have been 19 different publications in all referred journals by PRI, and there are 15 more in the pipeline of different trials of chemical validations of in vitro biology to in vivo biology and clinical research. And I'm also proud to show, if you can see the screen somehow, there is the front page of a Journal of Separation Science, which has coronel on the front page. And we take a huge pride at Patanjali that this is the first Ayurvedic medicine that has come to any journal's front page, which is having a sizable impact factor. So, and coronel is not the only one. The team has been working on last 18 months for 40 different drugs, which have been working on different lifestyle diseases and also trying to figure it out their mode of actions too. So we are excited. As a scientist, I'm super pumped up, and I'm very thankful for all the support that we get within Patanjali and outside Patanjali, also from the ministry and the whole consortium that I'm talking to. So I think my presentation did not go through, but I'm very happy to take the queries if there is someone.
Mr. Vashne, I think we were able to see the presentation also, and your entire thought process about developing coronel. Now, in terms of assuring quality and safety of the Ayurvedic products, what steps have you taken, and what are you when since they are available globally, the products, how do you go about talking about the quality, safety, and efficacy of these products?
Right, sir. So let's start with the safety. So for most of the drugs that we work here, we generate their safety profile by doing a 28-day talks under GLP mode, which is good laboratory practice mode, and we see that what is their safety limit. For example, for Coronil or for Swasari, we're happy to report that we have tested in rats and rabbits up to 1,000 milligram per kg of dose of these medicines and did not have any effect on those animals. So, and we have published both of them very recently in very good journals as well. So we follow that. And in addition, we also make sure that the efficacy happens from batch to batch. So we do random sampling from the batches which is made here in our commercial plant, and we do test their chemical composition and also look for the efficacy in vitro and in vivo. So that actually helps in getting a better acceptability. Earlier, I think one of the presenters talked about WHO good manufacturing practice. So if you can see the slide, this is the license for WHO GMP granted for Coronil by our Drug Controller General of India that shows that the manufacturing practice that we are following are actually at par with the WHO defined criteria. And similarly, the other medication that we are working on are in the same way too.
Thank you, Mr. Vashne. Moving further, I have with me a very renowned global brand, which has been able to make a mark globally, Shri Shri Tattva, which needs no introduction, of course, and you've been predominantly present in many countries, and you have a vast network. So, Mr. Vachasvi, who also heads the Shri Shri Tattva operations globally, sir, Ayurveda is increasingly recognized and adopted as the India's offering to the world. How have you seen the efforts which have done by the industry or the sector towards building this global partnership for adoption of the Ayurveda as a mainstream medical treatment? So, I mean, you've been long enough into this. I think you're one of the veterans. So how do you see this? And what have you done in terms of popularizing Ayurveda as a medical treatment from India?
Thank you very much, Praveenji. It's a pleasure to see you and also my eminent panelists over here. Wishing all of you the very best of health and a very happy new year. Praveenji, coming across to your question is that, especially over the last decade, as a brand that what we've seen, as you know, that Shri Shri Tattva is globally inspired by Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji. So we've seen that wherever we take across, whether it's Ayurveda, yoga, or also India to the world today, we've seen that this prejudice against Ayurveda and yoga has really weaned off over the last decade. We've seen that even during the pandemic, the word of meditation, Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji's meditation was the top searched word in terms of meditation and also the third globally. So what does this really show? That people really are getting across to meditation. They want to know what yoga is about. They would like to know what Ayurveda is about. So there's a lot of acceptance with regards to the entire science. What is it that what we need to do? And what is it that what our organization has done? Is that during the pandemic, we've seen that whether it's Harvard, Yale, and also Stanford, they've come out with international journals and also research reports on the Sudarshan Kriya, which is a breathing technique from the Art of Living, which is founded by Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji. Apart from that, during the pandemic, Shri Shri Tattva also as a brand, we've seen that we did a lot of research on the Siddha formulation. So Shri Shri Tattva's Kavasarukudini was so repurposed during the pandemic to see that it could be used in terms of treating mild to moderate symptoms. So apart from that, we also joined hands with the government to see that how we also champion the AYUSH 64 product, which is also championed across from the government side. And after that, we've also seen that we've come out with another new product where we've actually done more than 12 clinical trials, across the country. And we've also done a lot of them with AIMS as well. And we've seen that this particular drug that what we'll also share across with you is that we've also seen that how we've done research internationally as well, as far as, Norway, Turkey, Also Germany with the Frankfurt Innovation Center for Biotechnology. We've signed a lot of MOUs as well. So we've seen that there's a whole lot of interest that is generating, whether it's Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy. Industry really needs to gear up to see that we also imbibe international standards in terms of manufacturing and also in terms of production, and also research and how we come across with a drug. As what you also mentioned, Sri Tattva also has, perhaps the first to also get the ANMAT GMP, which is as far as in Argentina. In Oman, we have our Panchakarma centers for more than a decade right now. And I'm very happy to tell you that we have health ministry officials coming and taking Panchakarma treatments where we prescribe our Ayurveda medicines as medicines so across over there, and they take the treatments and they head back. And similarly, we also have our presence even in the UAE region, whereby we also have our doctors, we also have our Panchakarma center, we also have a whole lot of things that are coming across. So whether it's in terms of product or services, we've seen that we take Ayurveda as a science, as a system of medicine that could be accepted globally. My previous speaker, Anuragji, also mentioned the point of Ayush Premium Mark. This is something that as government and industry, we really need to champion together. Ayush systems are India's pride. So we need to set the systems that what the globe really needs to, take care of. And we need to set the systems that what other countries really need to imbibe. And to say that we need to do this, it's a huge responsibility. And that's where I feel that this Ayush Export Promotion Council would prove to be a game changer, whereby what I would really recommend is that this could be like a single window clearance, whereby all industry could come and see that whatever regulatory requirements or registrations or regulatory compliance can be taken across by this particular council. So that's where we stand across right now.
Thank you so much, Arvindji. Very valid points. We are actually being, I'd like to recognize the presence of the Trade Commissioner of Chile in the room, along with the large Chile delegation here in the room. They've been all very excited about attending this session on Ayurveda. My point is here that because we are at this global platform, you've been a global brand. Currently, I think you're a part of all important government committees. You've been driving and championing the entire cause of Ayurveda and yoga, and of course the therapies. So what is your, people who are looking at you today look as a brand, that how do you access the global markets? There are a lot of companies which are there, and we just spoke about even innovation and startups. So the organizations who are willing to go global, what is your advice to them? How should they approach the global markets? So, I mean, any thoughts on this?
Yes, no, definitely, Praveenji. What my advice to upcoming brands and also entrepreneurs would be that, see, there's a lot that what you can learn, that what companies, whether it's industry or government, that what they've done across over the last decade. Don't make the same mistakes. There are a lot of regulations that have come across. The government of India has set certain standards. There are standards that are set across by different governments. It's important that we get educated on this. So once we start getting ourselves educated as to what are all the regulatory compliances are there in different countries. So it's not one size that fits all. Different countries have different regulatory requirements. You need to go down and really study their regulatory requirements and see that you comply with them. For example, as simple as one particular ingredient that might be allowed in India might not be allowed in a country like Germany. Now, Germany might not allow that, but Russia might. So don't know. So you need to educate yourself to see that how this happens. And also look at, products that be easy for you to begin with. You might want to start off with single ingredient products. You might want to start off with products that what you are focusing on. You might also want to have a particular use case scenario for a product, just not being a Me Too product or a Me Too brand saying that because everybody's doing it, let me also do it. But come across with some USP that what your product would have. And that's where research and scientific validation of your product would really prove to be very good. Let me give you one particular example. Today, our herbal toothpaste, Sudanta, It's the #1 bestseller, Ayurveda natural brand product in as far as in Argentina. Now, slowly, we are also becoming a very popular brand in also Brazil, in Chile. We're starting off right now, and also in other places like Uruguay and Paraguay. So what do I really mean by this is that you need to see that what is the requirement of that particular country and what is the problem or the solution that you're going to give that country through your product. So Ayurveda or the Ayush systems are not different from any other product or service, but they're more holistic, they're more solution oriented, they're not symptomatic, but they head across to the root cause. And that's where we have this USP when it comes to the Ayush industry. And that's something that what we must really implement and take forward. So I think these are my suggestions to upcoming brands, Pravinji. And also it really pays off a lot when you comply with the global standards. It might be very easy that some people might say, no, why do you bring your product as a food supplement or a dietary supplement and not a medicine? Now that's something that what you need to see, that's what your use case scenario going to be. As Shri Shri Tattva, we always believe in bringing Ayurveda as a complete system of medicine, and we've seen that we've done that over the past, and it's something that what we are committed to doing so. And you would be really amazed that once you take this particular step, the other health ministries of different countries would also be there to help you to see that how this happens. And one more thing that I see Dr. Sumit also across over there, so I'm going to leave him also with a little bit of homework, if I may, is that I feel that the Ministry of Ayush should also see that how Ayush systems can be a part of the FDA agreements of the country. And this is something that what Pravinji and also, my chair and co-chairs across over here from FICCI, we've always tried to see that how we could make this as a part. And even the Ministry of Commerce over here has been really helping the Ministry of Ayush. So I think if we make this a reality soon, it would really make a big difference to the entire industry and also to the sector. Thank you very much.
Arunji, I know, but as always, I have one more question for you. So what is your take on utilizing our Indian missions or consulates? How can we drive the agenda of Ayurveda and yoga throughout the world? How can we capitalize on their presence?
No, definitely, Pravinji. This is something that what, back as 2013-14, this was something that what I had given across as a suggestion to Pharmaxil, saying that our embassies, our missions over there should have a separate location wherever possible, in whichever missions or embassies possible, whereby we as industry or as an industry body, we should be able to showcase that what the entire Ayush systems are about. And one thing is that in terms of propagation of the system, I feel that Indian missions, that what they can really play a big role is to see that how the Ayush systems can become a part of the educational system of different countries. Now, if you see that for any system of medicine to thrive, it needs to be at the top of your fingers. It needs to be there for you to understand, saying that, all right, if I get hurt, will I use something with allopathy or will I use something as simple as turmeric? Now, it's a choice. It's for the consumer to decide. And for a consumer to decide, you need to educate the consumer. And education begins at the educational system. And this is something that what we need to really do, that few ingredients, few products, and few services, like, for example, the Abga or Shirodhara of the Panchakarma services, we should really see that how children also get to know, saying that, all right, if you would like to relax, this is something that would also help you. And all right, if you would like to increase your immunity, now you're always happy to see that how you could use something like turmeric or also Amrut or Giloy right now, that has so many clinical trials across to see that how it would help in terms of immunomodulation. So my words are very clear. It's just not about, increasing immunity, but it's about immunity building. It's about modulating your immunity to see that how you're actually healthy. And one last thing is that communication is so important. As industry, we need to tell people that, Ayurveda or the entire Ayush systems is just not about heavy metals. heavy metals is only as, one particular part. When we, about 10 years back, one particular prejudice that what we dealt with is that if you see Ayurveda, oh, it's heavy metals. It's not. You need to educate people that in some places, heavy metals are ingredients, but at the same time, in some places, heavy metals are contaminants. Now, this education has to go across. So, because it's not all preparations of Ayush are having heavy metal compositions, there are only some, and the entire, what should I say, a vertical that has that takes care of this and how it needs to be prepared to see that it's not detrimental to the human body. So the entire Ayush systems are so scientific, and that's where Dr. Sumit across over here from the government could really help to see that how this could be championed across. And yes, we must definitely deliberate to how our Ayush missions could also prove to be another methodology of communicating back to us, saying that what are all the challenges that what industry can face. So it's just not going and giving a pamphlet or about telling that what the system is about, but understanding that how receptive is that particular health ministry to the systems and what industry needs to do, and make that gap analysis and give it back to industry bodies like FICCI to see that how this can be taken forward. So I think these are my inputs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arvindji. Moving from products further, I have Dr. Pratibha Shah, who has been for a significant number of years in US and has been driving the Council for Ayurveda Research. Ma'am, you have moved from India. You've been an Ayurveda practitioner here in the country, and then of course moved there. There's a lot of, I'm sure from the time when you, moved to US to now, I mean, how do you see, because there's been a recent significant step wherein Ministry of Ayush has actually paved way for strengthening the quality of Ayurvedic and other traditional medicine products globally, and enhancing specifically their export potential to the US market. So what do you think and what do you suggest, and how's your outlook towards the entire? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Praveenji, first of all, for inviting me to be on this panel today, and namaste to all the esteemed panelists from Boston, USA. So very quickly, as you were saying, that I've had the unique privilege of being with Ayush for 13 years after finishing my MD, which is by the way in Ras Shastra. We were just talking about Ras Aushadhis. So I'm very actively and intimately aware and even connected with at some point with Dr. Robert Saper, the man who was responsible for bringing that infamous metal toxicity study in around 2005 or something. So I do have a little bit of vantage point from that angle, that having been a batchmate of Dr. Katouch and Dr. Nesri, we were same UPSC batch. And since 2004, being in USA, having gotten my master's in public health here, having been very actively involved in educating the other side, being part of a lot of integrative initiatives and forums, Indo-US initiatives, being connected with the consulate, the embassy, and through my nonprofit Council for Ayurveda Research, which is now an international nonprofit. We have an India sister chapter as well. So I would love to share some thoughts. So first of all, I would like to applaud the Ayush Ministry and the current government for having taken many new and significant strides, which were given extra impetus with the start of the pandemic. Lot of leadership, lot of innovation and dynamism has been displayed, and it must be applauded. However, we still have a long way to go as far as the attempt for globalization of Ayurveda is concerned. And I'll just share a few insights that I have developed as being from the Ayush side, and then now from a very government sector to a very completely private sector, foreign land, etc. So very, combined sort of vantage point. So I think the first thing I would like to share is that I think we need to focus very strongly on in-house gaps and challenges. This is extremely important because that's a very continuous feeling that I get sitting here far away from motherland, that there are a lot of in-house gaps and challenges still existing, which need to be paid attention to, acknowledged. That is very important. Acknowledgement is very important, and then addressed. And I'll just bring up just a few of them. One is, of course, the quality assurance across raw materials as well as finished products, third-party testings, independent testings, certifications, and making them mandatory or as a requirement. I don't know how feasible that is and what challenges that can bring, but certainly it will help to kind of bring more credibility to the products, especially when considering exports. This is really important. Someone who is sitting on the other side, I know how much of a lack of trust, a lack of confidence in the products coming from India side is there in general. Of course, first of all, they are not legally allowed in the healthcare market, as we all know. The only entry we have is in the wellness sector. So all of the export that is coming in the wellness sector. I think we need to be very clear about that. We are not on the therapeutic side at all. I'm not a licensed practitioner in this country, like my other BAMS MD colleagues. And we all operate in the wellness sector. We cannot use words like diagnosis, treatments, patients, etc. And I know there was some conversation about panchakarma, etc. And something else where touching was mentioned. But if I may share with the forum here that even taking pulse is considered touching the patient. I don't use the word patient. I had to unlearn a lot of things. So just want to give a flavor of how, in what conditions we are practicing here. Arvindji brought up a lot of points that I also wanted to bring up. So one of the things was education. I'm myself a senior faculty for 2 institutes. And so I do want to kind of highlight that education is a very safe way to continue to enter and to continue to grow. People, a body of people who are aware of Ayurveda, what is its breadth and depth. And I'm also involved in educating the other side of practice, the Western medicine doctors. And I'm very happy to share with you that there are some universities which are bringing in now elective courses in Ayurveda. And that's a very good plus. So education is safe and it must be really supported by ministry, the consulate, the embassy. Right now, all of these representatives of our country and our government are very underutilized or even unutilized as agencies of information dissemination, education, image building, countering the negativity. Unfortunately, there is no systematic approach to that. So I know my time is less, so I'll try to cover very quickly. For all efforts related to globalization, having internal clarity of vision and purpose. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be as honest as possible. I hope this forum is okay with that. That often we have initiatives and projects, but unfortunately, it doesn't go along with clarity of vision. Why are we doing those? So I will not name some of the initiatives, but I think there is some room for introspection there, with clearly outlined short-term goals and long-term goals. What is that particular project there for? What is it achieving? What are we intending to do with that? A commitment to developing the infrastructure and resources needed to see that vision to its logical end. I think there is room for improvement there. Taking care to envision and ensure continuity of effort. I think we talked about communication. Continuity of effort is also very important. Joint projects, collaborations, MOUs. We cannot do one project and then there is nothing thereafter. So we have to build on the momentum. We have to build on our successes. Sustainability, and we have been talking about exports and the increase of Ayush products worldwide. Are we doing as an industry anything for the sustainable cultivation of our herbs? Because those will go extinct in no time. And then we are talking about its direct impact on quality of the products. So what is being done on that front by the government and by the industry? Is there a 1% commitment for sustainability, something like that? So that is something I feel that's a very urgently needed area of focus. And then the other, area is challenges related to the country where exports are being targeted. So undertaking a systematic learning. Again, I said Arvindji has already said this, but often, most often than not, it's a common thing to encounter that there is not really good clarity on our country's part of what are the challenges in the country to which they are aiming to export. What are the legal challenges? What are the political policy level challenges? What are the social challenges? What are the barriers? There's very little understanding. And unless those are understood and identified clearly and they're worked upon, I think we are talking about just a lot of enthusiasm, but really not creating a proper channel for that. Then identifying institutions, agencies, and people that can play a key role in facilitating the recognition, licensure, and ultimately integration of Ayurveda in those countries' healthcare systems. This is really important, identifying the stakeholders, because anything that is given internally in USA, it is a big regulatory issue. That is why yoga is more successful than Ayurveda right now, because yoga does not involve any internal intervention, and therefore meditation is also successful. So those are some of the things that I want to share. Then image building, as I said, is very important. Bringing together Ayush community in that country and utilize their presence in some of the above. Like, I'm available if there is anything where I can be of service, I would be very happy to do that. And countering motivated defamation attempts, which is still continuing. Lastly, but most importantly, I also want to talk about research. I myself, when I was doing MPH, as a part of my culminating experience, I had to submit a white paper, which I decided to do on diabetes. And in that process, there was a Cochrane meta-analysis published on diabetes, Ayurveda and diabetes. And I did the remaining after the Cochrane meta-analysis also. I pulled them all together. And trust me, out of maybe 35, 40 studies on type 2 diabetes that did make it to sort of globally accepted journals, only 2 were checked off on the JADAD score. Rest were rejected. And this is something we have to internalize, that we are doing a lot of clinical trials, but is the world accepting them? What are the criteria? We have to develop these insights and awareness building within our country as well to be able to achieve what we are setting out to do. Thank you, Pravinji.
That was very insightful, and I would just like to leave that thought with you, that maybe the country FDAs also need to be, apprised about the system of Ayurveda. And accordingly, a group, as you already spoke about, was the identifying stakeholder and also sending them to India probably to experience the products and services would be again a big step towards that. Moving further ahead, I have 2 government officers with me, and since I know we are left with 15 minutes, but I will again have the parting question to all the participants. Dr. Adarsh Kumar is a senior officer with Central Council for Research in Ayurveda Sciences. Sir, would you like to highlight the initiatives taken by CCRAS to build evidence-based research in Ayurveda? And what are the key impediments being faced in the export markets towards developing global standards for Ayurveda? Any thoughts from your side on this? Because you key daily involved into it. Dr. Kumar, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Good evening to all eminent speakers and our Anurag Sharma ji, the Honorable MP. I want to share a presentation, a brief presentation, and I will skip the things which have already been presented by our AYUSH partner, Dr. From Ministry of AYUSH. And just to my presentation is visible, sir? Hello?
Yes.
My slides are visible, sir?
We can see it.
We can see the presentation.
Okay.
Please
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you.
We'll have to request you to be quick because in the interest of time.
Yeah, very quick, very quick. I will. So Ministry of Ayush has set up the interdisciplinary research, Ayush and research and development task force for particularly for this COVID pandemic, and the experts from premier institutions and research organizations and experts from other eminent institutions like AIMS, ICMR, and AYUSH institutions were involved in this task force and formulated and designed clinical research protocols for the prophylactic and add-on intervention studies in COVID-19. Further, Ministry of Ayush issued a Gazette notification to facilitate research on COVID-19 through Ayush systems. And the scope of the presentation, I would like to say the background, core objectives, core research areas, and core outcomes at a glance, and COVID-19 initiatives and recent initiatives by the Government of India, particularly in our CCRA, Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences. These have already been taken by our colleague. And in brief, our research councils, CCRS, have 30 centers across the countries, including the 11 national research institutes, and other councils are also having this similar infrastructure in some less centers. And the core objective is to develop the safety and efficacy of the formulations and the validations of the classical formulations and the capacity building in core research areas and the translational research, including the technology transfer and patent and the research oriented public health activities and the dissemination of research outcomes. The broad areas for the clinical research through our 22 institutes in the collaboration with other reputed institutes, the generation of safety and efficacy of the Ayurvedic formulation, new drug development, and the pharmaco-epidemiological studies, health-seeking behavior, and documentation of demographic profile of the public health-oriented activities. And the prioritized area for the clinical results research are the RCH, reproductive and child health, and musculoskeletal disorders, eye disease, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, iron deficiency, anemia, vector-borne diseases, renal disorders, parasurgical procedures like Char Sutra, IBS, and neurological, neuromuscular, and neurodegenerative disorders, rhino therapy, geriatrics, QL in cancer, etc., and the skin diseases and Ayurveda dietetics and pain management. The we have completed 140 formulations so far for the 34 32 disease conditions and ongoing 31 formulations and on 14 diseases. In the new initiatives on 20 formulations on 12 diseases are going on, and nearly 50 research papers have been published for generation of evidence in safety and efficacy of classical Ayurvedic formulations. These are the few glimpses of our publications. And feasibility of integrating Ayurveda with the allopathic system of medicine in a tertiary healthcare hospital to the management of osteoarthritis. We have published a paper, and very good results were noticed in this. And 52 centers, that is 49 community health centers and 3 district hospitals. This NPCDCS, which was mentioned by our colleague, was conducted in Surendra Nagar, Bhilwara, and Gaya districts. And very good and promising results were noticed on the, particularly in the type 2 diabetes. And feasibility of the introducing Indian systems of medicine, Ayurveda and Siddha, the national RCH that was done, a operational study was done previously in the Himachal Pradesh in 2 districts, Mandi and Kangra, and total about 2,500 patients, not patients, you can say participants were enrolled in the study, and the significant improvement in various outcome indicators such as improvement in hemoglobin percentage, minimal complications and such as vomiting, edema, etc. during pregnancy, and the achievement of full-term pregnancy without any stillbirth and neonatal death were observed. And the feasibility of these studies have again been taken care, and now it is being extended at Gadchiroli district in the 30 PHCs, and a multi-centric operational study is going on. And so far we have enrolled 7,189 pregnancy cases, and the expected outcome introduction of Ayurveda interventions in the national RCH program. Based on the results, based on the study outcomes, the study will be published. And impact on public health of our Ayurvedic products, and we are also trying through our outreach activities like Tribal Healthcare Research Program, THCRP, and we have covered so far more than 160,000 populations in 14 states, and the beneficiaries getting the Ayurvedic medicines and the guidelines were more than 90,000. And Ayurvedic mobile healthcare program under the scheduled class sub-plans were also taken in the 18 states, and more than 30 lakhs population have been covered, and the beneficiaries have been more than 4.5 lakhs.
Dr. Kumar, I'm sorry of interrupting you.
Yes.
I have to quickly sum it up from your side in 2 minutes because I have one more speaker who wants to share his thoughts.
Okay. Now, the evidence, as Madam was saying, for the safety of the Sochadis and our partner was saying that the evidence on safety research CCRS has well taken through the retrospective and prospective epidemiological studies, and the monographs have been published for the safety and toxicity. 8 monographs we have published so far, and these are available on our websites. And the systematic review is very important, and meta-analysis. These studies we have also taken, and total the systematic reviews we have conducted on 30 problems, and systematic review protocols we have also prepared and 29, and the published protocols and submitted in peer-reviewed journals are 20, and the submission of preliminary draft report of completion 3, and ongoing we are continuing on 10 meta-analysis studies. And the list of diseases covered under these, the sinusitis, hemiplegia, conjunctivitis. So here you can see. And the ICMR funded projects, the council has also taken initiative for the clinical evaluation of the efficacy of AYUSH SS granules in exclusive breastfeeding mothers with insufficient lactation. And the evaluation of LND, a coded Ayurvedic formulation, the management of ASRIGDA, abnormal uterine bleeding. And further, I'm just introducing the council's work here, and the international collaboration, as it has already been introduced by our counterpart. Process of drug development, this is the same as in all organizations, literary survey, right from literary survey to standardization and the protocols preparation and the clinical trials. And the drugs developed so far are the I-64 for the malaria, which has been repurposed for the COVID-19 management, and the I-682 type 2 diabetes mellitus, which has been taken in the NPCDCS program, Balasana, Ayush 56 for the management of epilepsy, Ayush SS granules for postnatal care. These are many of these drugs have been taken into the RCH programs and RCH projects. And Ayush BR Leham for the pediatric care, and Ayush SG is an anti-rheumatoid arthritis preparation. The automation of the tools, the machines for the Cha Sutra preparations, we have taken in collaboration with the IIT New Delhi, and because the thread should be uniform, and the coating should be uniform, and the tensile strength should be uniform, and the tolerability and other clinical parameters have been tested on this.
Dr. Kumar,
And the medicinal,
if you may come on to your final slides, please.
Okay. There is a need of the plantation of the Ayurvedic the herbs. So on the basis of the Miyawaki method, we have developed a procedure for a microforesting of the plants. So through this, we are developing the plants in a very short period, in a very dense manner, and the growth is also comparable with the classical methods. So this is known as Aushadharanya. Generation of experimental evidence. We have so far 160 drugs we have screened for various safety and toxicity studies. 52 single drugs have been screened, and 31 Ayurvedic formulations and 25 coded drugs have been screened for safety toxicity. Biological screening have been also taken care of. And for the literary research, this is also very important. So our one national institute at Hyderabad is involved in this, and digitization and editing of manuscripts. And this is internationally recognized. And IT initiatives, AYUSH Research Portal have already been discussed. And this one is the most important, the Namaste portal, National AYUSH Morbidity and Standardized Terminology Electronic Portal. Because in the Ayurveda, in the north, south, east, west, everywhere, one plant has been described and one disease has been described by many names. So if there is no uniformity in the nomenclature, in the recognition of the disease code, so it will be difficult to say something which can be accepted globally. So this initiative has been taken by the Ministry of AYUSH through our all councils, and we have done it very well, and now it is available on our website. And CCR's information technology have also taken some fundamental researches on Ayur Prakati, Swasthya Assessment Scale, and Ayurved Granth Samuchay. This is a unique portal of all classical Ayurvedic texts are available in these portals. And for promotion of the research, we are launching the AYUSH PhD fellowship scheme in 2016. And now the PDF scheme has already been and
Thank you.
now,
Thank you for your wonderful insights. I'm sorry, we'll have to move to the final speaker of the
okay.
afternoon session. We have with us Vaidya Sumit, who's also the OSD to the secretary, and he's been a part of the co-working group with Secretary Ayush, and also is a certified doctor in Ayurveda. So, Dr. Smith, what are the key initiatives that Government of India is taking? You know, you've heard now all our speakers, and what is your take and final words on this? And then I have just one parting question to our Member of Parliament. So before I move on to him, I'd like to.
Hello. Thank you, sir. Actually, the theme is innovation, technology, and research into Ayurveda. Ayurveda, as you all know, is a traditional system, but all what you know don't know is it is equally backed with a good quality research and evidences at present. If you go to the Ayush research portal, there are, as all earlier speakers have mentioned, that more than 30,000 research are catalogued into Ayush research portal. And if we go to PubMed, then we can get good quality randomized control trial. More than 5,000 randomized control trials are there. So I won't go in details what initiatives we are taken, because detailed presentation has been made by two of our presenters. And as Multani sir has also mentioned, that digital India or digital technology is the future in healthcare, and Ayush is also included into it. And through Ayush Grid, we have taken many initiatives like Ayush Health Informatics Systems, wherein we have captured up till now 18 lakh patients' data. And we are also propagating it into the state so that all should document it. A centralized capturing of the data will be there. For the same sake, we have also integrating Ayush into the SNOMED city, which is needed for teleconsultation. And during COVID, we have successfully done teleconsultation. And later, along with CDEC, we have introduced Ayush into eSanjeevani mobile portal also. These are the technological intervention we are doing into the capacity building, as Pratibha Shah ma'am also mentioned. Education is important. Good quality publication is important. We are having lots of RCTs. Quality of publication is needed. We are into systematic reviews. We are sending our officers, getting trained under the Cochrane collaboration on systematic review. At PHFI, we are sending our officers for getting trained into the public health. We are going into the public health research also through various Ministry of Ayush schemes like Center of Excellence schemes. Just one example I would like to cite, as our delegation from Chile is also here. Globally, there is a discussion on personalized preventive predictive medicine. We know all we are different, and we all respond differently to a disease and to the treatment. In this aspect, Ayush has a huge to offer. As a center of excellence, we have extended at IGIB CSIR. There we have found that certain genome sequence are specific to certain type of phenotype based on Ayurveda diagnostic principle of Prakriti. So what they are doing is Prakriti-based stratified phenotypic stratification for predictive marker. So they have very good ideas of, see, with Prakriti is having this kind of disease, could have predilection to this kind of disease based on the genomic sequence. So this could gradually change the entire view toward the health system, and we need to take it seriously through the research and development. That is one part. Basic research we are doing in collaboration with almost all major research organizations in India today. Like with CSIR, we are working with ICMR, with DBT, with DST. All have come on board to for a common cause of Ayurveda. During the COVID, as earlier speakers have mentioned, that we have done good quality of studies. One example of AYUSH 64 which was developed, we have done mechanistic studies. We have done drug-herb interaction studies with NI and ICMR. Mechanistic studies with DBT, we have done it. We have used hamster model for the first time in Ayurveda to ascertain how it works in the body. We have done good clinical studies, randomized control trials with epidemiologists, rheumatologists, and good doctors on board, along with Ayurveda doctor to ascertain its efficacy. Later on, it was repurposed for the management of mild and moderate COVID-19. And a lot of beneficiary was there. Well, later on, we distributed it among 62,000 patients, mild, moderate patients, and we have the data with us that it is really effective. So this type of studies we are doing in Ayush. So this is a wrong notion that it is just traditional and we need evidence. There are substantial number of evidence. Yes, we need to go further. We need more basic scientists to come on board, study the thing. That is a part, but we are doing. Another, just one point I would like to mention, two of the team members have mentioned about heavy metals. So the JAMA, the most talked about JAMA study, they were referring to, I think. But later on, what we have done is Ministry of Ayush, CSIR and ICMR together collaborated as Golden Triangle project. Under that, we have studied 6 herbo-mineral project drugs which are under study in that JAMA. And we found them to be absolutely safe if prepared properly through the procedure mentioned in our classical text. So there is a lot to offer in Ayurveda in terms of evidence and to personalize preventive predictive medicines. And we are there to work on it. And the FDA part also, initial discussion has been started, and we would seek your guidance also how we can proceed in that aspect further. Thank you, sir.
Vivekji, if you permit, can I say something?
Sir.
Good. Let me also, just for the information of all the participants, the Indian Ayush industry has got the highest possible standards. The companies have WHO GMP, World Health Organization, Good Manufacturing Practice certified plants. They've got drug testing and food testing laboratories, which are approved by the Ministry of Ayush, by CDSCO, by FSI, to ensure the topmost quality. Then we have the Ayush Premium Mark and Ayush Standard Marks, which are by the Quality Council of India, as well as with Ministry of Ayush. That's a combined thing. So they have Ayush Premium Marks and Standard Mark certifications. Then our companies also have our research and development facilities, which are approved by DSIR, Department of Scientific Industrial Research. And a lot of our companies are into organic medicinal plant cultivation. So this thought process, these metals just form, they are a specific portion of our Ayurveda. It is not that they are in everything. The quality is phenomenal. The good companies are there. So there has to be no cause of concern on that. Thank you. Thank you, Praveenji, for giving me this chance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. My parting question to our Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Sharma, final words on Ayurveda yoga to the global audience and to our Chile delegation and other delegation which is here from Sweden. So over to you. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you so much, Praveenji. It is a pleasure to listening to all the panelists, and thank you so much for their words of wisdom, for their presentation, for the research work being done in India. All I would really like to say to everyone who's listening in from various countries across the world is Ayurveda is a gentle healing system. It's inexpensive, can be adopted locally, can be adopted globally. It's India's store of knowledge, like yoga, for the world. And today the world recognizes that certain products and certain therapies, and if I dare say so, especially big pharma, have become very expensive, and all countries are actually facing challenges with their healthcare systems across the world. So to adopt Ayurveda for at least, to start with, very normal or lifestyle diseases can be liberating for those countries, for their patients, and economically rewarding. We really need to sometimes look at it, we don't need to take on big pharma, but we really need to look at Ayurveda as an adjunct and synergistically with chemical-based medicines. And that, I think, would be the way forward for all of us going on from here. In India, I'm very happy to say that the government of India has really worked hard towards this. And today we're creating 80,000 wellness centers where people are coming in for treatments. This would require a huge boost. This would give a huge fillip to Ayurveda, a huge boost to the Indian economy, because the Indian system of medicines takes herbs from our farmers, where we are actually taking our farmers with us as we go along. We are also embedding Ayurvedic practitioners and Ayurvedic therapies in our hospitals. And I'm very proud and very happy to see Dr. Gupta sitting here from AIIMS, where Ayurveda is now being opened and embedded in every AIIMS in India and in all leading hospitals. Yoga and Ayurveda are helping patients recover much faster. So tomorrow, I mean, it's going to be the future for the world to adopt holistic medicines. We are actually will be much better for your environment. We are actually much better for the human body. And in the long run, we're much better for the entire planet. So if you're really looking at reducing pollution, you're looking at greening the world again, Ayurveda is the solution. Thank you so much, Praveenji. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And with this, because we have presence of Dr. Vaiki Gupta, one of our eminent, scientist, professor from All India Institute for Medical Sciences in this room with us. Sir, with your pearls of wisdom, I think I can't close this session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Praveenji. And I think it is a privilege to be with a galaxy of speakers and experts like Mr. Sharmaji and Multani Saab and all others. I fully agree with what Mr. Multani said and what Mr. Sharma said. 2-3 things is, number one, as an Indian, we must respect and we must acknowledge our several thousand years knowledge. And if we do not have a confidence in ourselves, the whole world will ask questions. We need not to answer each and every question which the word says. We must say that does not require more evidence. But we must also acknowledge that this requires scientific evidence. So we must not do unnecessarily futile research, but at the same time, we must do research where the evidence is required. And what has been said, number 2, we must know how to position our product. How to identify the USP of our product. That is how you can basically enter and penetrate into the global system. The third thing, as I said, how to package our product. And I would say, package does not mean the entire coverage like what you see. Package means, number 1, the product is packaged with standardization statement. As Mr. Multani said, that our country has all GMP, WHO, and all standard best of the practices available. Therefore, our product must mention this in product leaflet. Number 2, the packaging should be scientific packaging into that. That each product, if you supplement the product information brochure, that this is the scientific evidence with this product, the acceptability in the world will go up. You have published paper, put them into the product literature. And third thing is actual, what you say, conventional packaging. You have to see that how it is packaged to have better stability, better visibility, and then not only that this will attract, now you see the change in the packaging system. That is the third thing. And finally, I would say, being the associated as a governing council of Ayush for several years, and if I just remember that paper which was defamed, the Ayurvedic system of contamination of heavy metals and side effect of that, to counter that, we did a study and we showed in human, and that we published that this did not cause any side effect in spite of presence of these metals. And that was highly quoted and highly cited. So what I am saying, that was basically collaboration with All India Institute of Medical Sciences, where I was professor, and Ayush Ministry and the Ayurvedic system. Today, as our Honorable Member of Parliament said,
that each All India Institute of Medical Sciences include where I am president has a mandatory Ayush Bhavan discipline. But unfortunately, the Ministry of Ayush or industry involving Ayush have not come up, or these aims have not come up to have a collaboration, mutual collaboration. So my suggestion would be that all these pharmaceutical industries involving Ayurvedic products and all these aims which have Ayurvedic discipline must integrate, because huge infrastructure is available of patients, of analytical instrumentation, biostatistical ability to write report at the aims. Why not we collaborate intensely? Abhi hamare yahan it is much less. So that need to be strengthened, I think. And I would fully agree with what Mr. Multani said, that we have all these strengths, and what Mr. Sharma says, we have all the opportunities, and other speakers, including Praveen Bhai, who mentioned that we need to penetrate the global market with evidence and with science-backed our system, which is of more than thousands of years history. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very, parting comments were extremely apt. The interest in Ayurveda is proved by the attendance. 37 record countries have streamed the session. So I think there's a lot of interest, immense interest, 37 plus 2 here. So thank you so much once again. It was a very interesting session. We overshot time by close to about 20 minutes, but I think well deserved. Thank you so much once again. Stay healthy, stay safe. To the questions that are being posted in the chat, we'll be replying separately. We don't want to take any further time of all our panelists and the audience here. Thank you so much once again. To the audience in the room, I'll request you to join us for high tea. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.